another video. And today, we're in Boston. We got the train tracks. Yeah, that just disappeared. We saw a few trains before I started the video. So today we're getting on Boston's Duck Boat. Never heard the name before, but it's an autonomous vehicle that goes drives around Boston, then goes in the water. And there you go, you got a train right there. That's in that station. You're gonna see the back of it when we go.
There's two of them. There's two of them. There's gonna be one in the end. We're going to.
Oh, there's one. There's a choo-choo train.
Okay. I think that's where I stayed, right there. The green and brown building. I think that's the hotel.
Yeah, we're right next to the orange one. This is like the orange line.
Up here.
The red line tracks.
It goes on the ground right here. Let's see. Yes.
This is where it goes underground.
Ramp to US 3 North, then turn right onto Memorial Drive.
Okay. Yep. No. Yes.
And we're getting in.
Turn right
And then
onto
turn
Memorial
right.
Drive, then sharp left to stay on Memorial
So
Drive.
yeah. Well,
Yep.
and there's a trolley boy right there with the dump truck locked in.
That's the problem.
I don't speak for them. I speak for
No,
myself.
No.
I
I'm
don't
just
complain about
saying.
it
I'm
ever.
just saying. Like
Trolley
that's
boy.
the mentality that needs to change
Here's the
in
green
order
line
for the
T.
city to change. So you should be making
Follow
it.
the
This
trolley.
is it.
This building right
This
here.
is the. Yep. This should be the parking lot right here. Somewhere. Whatever entrance.
Turn right onto Museum
Yeah.
Road.
It's just
Museum
the.
parking. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Alright, we're here. So there's the science, here's the parking.
Here it goes.
Is it over?
Bye.
Museum
trolley.
parking.
Keep right. Okay.
Museum parking.
Keep right.
Yes.
Ah, yeah.
There we go.
It would be if they just
More
gave it a
trolley
shot.
boy. More
There's so
trolley
much nice people never see
boy.
besides raising taxes. There's a
I'm
culture
just
of
saying.
just have to take
Alright,
my
we're at the
pocket.
parking lot.
We need a map.
Some trolleys are passing by, so we're getting on a duck tour.
And one of
I don't know why it has duck in it, but
No, I don't know
if
why.
it has ducks. It's shaped as a duck. Oh, it's shaped as a duck? So,
okay.
we'll see you next. Alright, we're at the elevator.
Here it is.
Watch, there's nobody coming out.
Stay. Stay, buddy. Fantastic. Sir? Here he is. Hey. Pick up your phone. Okay, so we're in big.
L. We're all going to L. And we are on 3. Green. Okay. This is only 2. Okay.
Watch out, baby.
Oh, here we are.
What's that?
Mm-hmm.
Making a documentary of the trip.
Yes,
We are.
he is. YouTube famous.
Alright, here we are. People are always gonna be
So let's say museum lobby.
museum lobby. Let's go. Look at the pretty trolley boys over there. What if I want to see a third with more trolley boys?
Guys, just link over the side so people can catch you that don't need to document.
I'm not documenting.
No, I'm just saying like so that.
I've never made a documentary before.
Yes. Always copies of that. You just hold this.
Sometimes I always filming
You
scenes.
guys have to go before this?
No.
So hang out over here. You want to sit down?
Let's go look for some trolley boys. Got a bird. No bird. Following the bird. Oh, the bird's one. There he is. We're just gonna shut to the trolls. see if we can spot any trolleys. Oh, there's one. There he is. There's a trolley boy. Trolley boy. Okay. We're going.
Alright, ready, baby?
Yep.
That's a pretty big
Wow.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh my gosh. That's a giant thing. It's a nice display.
No,
It's a nice display.
At the museum.
not required. So.
Body lab. That's like they have a chop.
That looks fun.
Project
It's like they
19.
have a chop.
There it is. I see a sign.
Ancient. Another trolley boy.
Are you waiting for the duck tour?
No.
It might be down there. Yeah, right near Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is
It's right
probably
down
the
there.
asphalt.
I have no idea what this is. This is another duck tour, but the one we're getting on is over there.
That's cool, right?
Super cool.
Red duck. That's there. We got the duck.
No, no. We're outside. We're outside.
What does that mean? No, I'm asking why they have a Oh, probably fun. You happy? Good?
Oh, it's a rare one crossing. There you go. I don't know what that is. Ding, 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 ding.
I'm just kidding.
It's a ding ding railroad crossing. Something with a strong spoon.
About $5
Strong spoon that we just heard.
Hey, get shot.
I wouldn't go through there. But the railroad crossing is. I just heard a horn. So, who knows what that was? Here it is. You gotta try.
See it open?
Let's see it. Let's see the action pack. You got something coming here. No. We don't need to go see it crawling.
I'm gonna go see. You can stay here.
There should be a train coming, right? Choo choo. That drawbridge, I think a bridge is supposed to open. But I guess this thing could be forever. Is it just gonna be forever?
Stand up here.
I think our friendly thing's gonna be stuck forever. I think this is gonna be like some sort of orange line engine, because it didn't sound like an actual horn.
What the heck?
I don't know where the train is.
Oh,
Where's the
they
choo-choo?
sound like the actual train.
There we go. No, I don't know what's coming through. It's coming from that way, so that one's why we can't see
Oh,
it.
the bridge is opening.
There you go. Whee!
I didn't know the bridge open.
The bridge is opening. Let's see the choo-choo.
Here, Nate. It's right here.
The choo-choo. Where
Is
is
it
it?
a train or is it a boat? Oh, it's a boat. It's not a train.
Oh, it's not a choo-choo.
Right down by the fence. You can see right there.
It's not a choo-choo. It's not a choo-choo. I wonder what this thing even is. Is it like the Vikings? Here it comes. Oh, it's not a choo-choo. It's a yacht. No choo-choo. go. That's pretty cool. The bridge open. And there's another duck boat approaching.
That's ours.
The one that just arrived?
Keepers.
Or is it this purple one? I don't know which ones are, but I know we're getting on one of these. Something looks like this.
Give Bill a big round of applause, everybody. If you have your photo taken, make sure you take a look at it when you get up here. Stay seated so we get back here and let the gangway down. I'll be at the bottom of the stairs if you guys have any questions. So opportunities for a job well done. If you don't feel comfortable with the cash, they gave you this little Venmo card. You guys were certainly a fun audience. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and whatever y'all do in life, do it super size. Thank you very, very much. Have a good one.
There we go. This is what it is.
This boat's called Red Sox Navy. Yes, on the front.
So, yeah, we're gonna wait until.
Come on down, everybody. Are you filming this?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I want to make sure I come down with the, yeah, I just want to make sure I have the right gravitas.
He's documenting his journey.
Oh my god. How many times do I have to tell you it's not a documentary?
YouTube Nation.
Alright, so we're gonna wait till later. I need a bus. Got a little strange distance over there. That's cool. Got another trolley, got a train over there. No, look, there's a train. Trains. Choo-choo.
We're gonna go into the museum, the restaurant.
Yeah, it's tea.
Walk along there.
There wasn't bullshits. We're gonna blend the bullshit. No, another train over there. There's the bus. Still goes in the distance. I think we're getting on Duck 2. So much trains passing by.
Each one is close to home. Yes.
I wonder where the where's the engine?
Yes.
Is the engine right there?
It's 6 hours.
Dude, there's a train over there. There's a bi-level. There's the engine.
And then leave straight from there.
And then the duck boat passed by. There's the engine. Another duck boat. So many duck boats.
Get
Here's one coming in.
Are you sure it's good?
Well, no, I just need this.
Tons of trains are passing by over there. Trains and trams passing by over there. There's another one entering. So, I don't know. Let's spin another duck boat. And a school bus. Onto the boat we go. Oh, trip.
Okay.
Here we go.
So they're 1 and 2, and they're 3 and 4. So 2 and 2, yeah. You want me to sit with you or sit with Dad, with me? Right, we're 3 and 4, so here and here. Yeah, you guys are here. No.
You sit next to the window.
I
I will sit here. Heavy water, guys, okay?
On the boat?
Ready to
There's
roll.
a bus.
Start to play around and we'll have to separate. So you show us that you're big enough.
Good shots. There it goes.
And look at you're the big boy. You're almost 8. You're the big boy.
Playing by a mom.
Take care of your
Yeah, Charlie.
It's up to you. But this is driving the car. And last time you only
So let's
remember
see,
you
we're gonna
only
tour
see
around
all
Boston and then going in the water. So,
because you might be
Twins
over
on
there.
did I forget to say that this is my first video? Maybe I forgot to say, but this is gonna be a boat. So, first boat video. Yeah. Changing the train. So much stuff. Here's train.
I can do this. They're down there. Let's see how they are there. They can't say what I'm doing. So I can just open there. And I can see automatically.
And you should be coming out.
I can just whilst I'm looking at that.
There it is. That's the one that was 50 years old.
This one I can't answer because they will hear the phone. So when they hear and I do this, everybody can hear the phone.
Duck boat right there. Another one coming from here. Another one over there. Some big duck boats. Yeah. It's a lot of duck boats in one.
Tours. To ensure that you enjoy your fully narrated tour of the city, please direct your attention to our brief but important safety announcement. Please remain seated and keep your arms, legs, head inside the vehicle at all times. Parents and guardians, please help your children adhere to this rule, both on land and on the water. Smoking and vaping are not permitted on the dock at any time. In the case of an emergency on the water, your deckhand and United States Coast Guard licensed captain will provide you with instructions as needed. In the event of a fire, we have 2 portable fire extinguishers, one at the front of the duck next to the narrator, and one at the rear of the duck under the last seat on the driver's side. We also have an onboard fire suppression system that can be activated by the captain or deckhand. If we need to evacuate the duck while on the river, the quickest route is over the sides. Push firmly on the plastic windows to make them fall. The rear portion of the canopy is retractable. Unlock the latch located on the back of the canopy and slide it forward as indicated by the arrow on the roof. There are life jackets overhead on both sides and in the back of the duck. The smaller life jackets with the red tabs are for children or persons weighing 90 pounds or less. The larger life jackets with the yellow tabs are for persons weighing more than 90 pounds. In the event of a water emergency, please don your life jacket and then assist others when needed. There are 2 life rings on the duck, one above the driver's seat and one attached to the outside rear of the duck on the driver's side. We have a mobile phone as well as a VHF Marine radio aboard, which allow us to communicate directly with the United States Coast Guard, State Police Marine Unit, local fire and EMS, and our shoreside manager. Thank you for your attention. And now, we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy your tour of Boston. Welcome to Boston Duck Tours.
One more time! Let's hear it again!
Here we go. We got another train over there. We're turning on.
You look great.
There we go.
How you guys doing today? Good. Welcome aboard Boston Duck Tours. I am your conductor this afternoon. You get it?
Yeah.
Conductor.
Yeah.
Because we're on it's like a joke. My name is Captain Supersize, and I'm a superhero, in case you couldn't tell. Now, my name wasn't always Supersize, though, okay? It used to be Super Swift, because that is my superpower. I am very, very fast.
Okay.
See, I sort of, I don't know, like, busted on to the superhero scene in Boston in the early 90s, and I was a very good superhero. But partly because I was full-time. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't one of those hack jobs like Superman. You wait, take a newspaper. I was fighting crime 7 days a week, which is a problem because there really isn't a whole lot of money to be made these days in superheroing. Is that a word? Yes. I'm gonna use it, thank you. So I needed to find a way to make a living. Now, I had become a bit of a local celebrity around here. People in Boston kind of adored me because I'm very handsome. And I thought, you know, maybe I could use my celebrity status to do some advertising for a company or a product. And as it turns out, the only companies who want to be advertised by a fast guy happen to be fast food. So I started doing commercials for McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeyes, like all the usual places. But I was very clever because in addition to paying me for the commercials, I had it worked out so when I was out there fighting crime, I could stop by any one of these restaurants and eat for free. And I did. Maybe a little too much. I sort of lost my super speed, but I'm working here till I can get it back. And let me tell you something, people, these days I'm all about the fitness. Every morning I get up at 4:30, I do calisthenics, push-ups, jumping jacks. This morning, miss, I did 50 crunches. 50, thank you. They were Nestle crunches. Actually, this is liquid muscle, okay? It's the new thing. Now, today y'all are riding aboard an amphibious vehicle called the Duck. The name of the duck you are on is Red Sox Nathan. And driving Red Sox Nathan today is the lovely and talented Bill. Give Bill a big round of applause, everybody. He's going to be safely getting us through the city, which is not a jump in the vein of heart. Is your name Nathan? Is that why you were patting his head when I said Red Sox Nathan? You guys named your son after a duck? No, we have a lot of big fans. You know, I don't blame you. It's a good duck, you know what I mean? He's a good-looking kid, so good work with that. Now, now as we drive around Boston on our tour of Freedom's First and Fun, it's very important that everyone stays seated at all times. Leave your arms, your legs, your heads, your spouses, and your children inside the vehicle at all times. And there's no smoking, okay? Even if you have a prescription, sir. And one more thing I need to warn you guys about. Now, this is very serious and very important. Is that when you drive around Boston on a duck, there will be people in the city that are going to quack at you. This really happens. Now, can I ask you a question, sir?
Yeah.
What do you do in your life normally when someone quacks at you? How do you normally respond in that situation? No, you quack back. I'm just surprised you answered that right away without thinking about it. Does it happen to you often? Me too, yeah, totally normal. We're gonna quack back as he suggested because it is the polite thing to do, but there are rules. I don't want to hear any individual random quacking. I prefer to harness the full power of this duck. I want us to come together as a team, so whenever I say my name, supersize, I want to hear two big loud quack quacks. Can you all handle this?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Well, let's give it a shot. See what you got. Supersize. Quack, quack. Okay, there was a very cute echo on that one. That was decent. Now that was a little sloppy. I think you can do better. Let's try it again. Supersize. Quack, quack. All right, we can work with that. Sir, you are very good at this. I can see this happens to you quite a bit. Nice job. And hey, welcome to Boston, everybody. Here you are. Boston, the gateway to the West. Well, that's not it? Oh, okay. Boston, the mile-high city. All right, whatever, people. It's wicked old. Now, to give you guys a brief idea of how we got here. Boston was first settled back in 1625 by one guy, and this one guy's name was William Blackstone. And he lived here literally all alone by himself between 1625 and 1630. He never had to wait in line at a restaurant. He always got a seat on the train. It was very convenient for him. But then in 1630, he was joined by this guy named John Winthrop, who was the first colonial governor of Massachusetts. John Winthrop came to the area with about 150 wild and crazy Puritans. Now, why did the Puritans come here? Any ideas?
And
Why did most people come here back in the day?
to escape religious persecution.
To escape religious persecution, Wikipedia. That was perfect, yes. They came here to escape religious persecution. Now, they weren't the funnest group to live with, though, the Puritans. And after 5 years of living with the Puritans, that first guy, William Blackstone, he left and he went down south to a place called Rhode Island. Have you heard of Rhode Island?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a state. Well, it's very small. You could carpet the entire thing. But he left the Puritans to do what they will. They were the ones who founded Boston as you know it today. Give these people a quack. Supersize.
Quack, quack!
All right, good. We're a little sloppy still, but we're getting there. Now, if we were to make a left on Causeway Street, we would come to a place called the TD Garden. Y'all ever heard of the TD Garden? Yeah, it's a sports arena. Who plays at the TD Garden?
Celtics.
The Celtics. And who else? The Bruins. Now, nobody in Boston calls it the TD Garden. What do we call it here in the city? The Garden. You said it perfectly. The Garden. Yeah, which is really an homage to the old Boston Garden, an arena that was torn down in 1995 where both teams celebrated great success. Anybody here ever go to the old Boston Garden? That place was pretty crazy, huh? No air conditioning in the old Boston Garden. There'd be this weird haze during hockey games because of the ice and during concerts, but for, different reasons. But I'm gonna tell you all a story right now that's kind of weird, but you guys have already kind of struck me as weird people, especially you, sir. So you might enjoy the story. But when they tore down that old arena back in 1995, they found a small skeleton in the rafters. And and it turns out that the skeleton belonged to a monkey that had escaped one year from the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. They don't feel bad for this monkey because they found evidence around the skeleton that this monkey had been living its best monkey life up there. Apparently it would sneak around in the middle of the night, eat garbage, drink stale beer, and no one ever claimed to ever see a monkey there. But there were Celtics fans who used to swear they could see a leprechaun dancing around in the rafters of the Garden during Celtics games. Now, it probably wasn't until late in the game where people would be staring at the rafters and seeing leprechauns, but you never know. It could have been that monkey, right? I saw a leprechaun with a fuzzy on, so Bruins. Now, look, if you don't believe me, I know it's a weird story, go to YouTube and search for Monkey Garden Skeleton, and you will find a 10-minute long documentary produced by ESPN where they interview the construction workers that found him. Have you seen this documentary? It's good, right? Bunch of dudes. So he says to Sully, Sully, come over here. Look at this. It looks like a leg bone. So he called Tommy over because Tommy loves dinosaurs. We had some blood like balls. That's pretty much it. You know, that's the whole thing. But it's worth watching. Give these people a quack. Super size. Quack, quack. Very nice. You guys have very cool sunglasses, by the way. They match too, right? At the same time. That's pretty awesome. I like those. Now, Boston geographically was founded on a piece of land called the Shawmut Peninsula. Y'all know what a peninsula is, right? Like Florida, Cape Cod, Italy, Iowa. Now, the Shawmut Peninsula, did I say Iowa? I'm sorry, it's a hot day. I meant Ohio. Ohio's the one with the ocean around it. But anyway, this is what our peninsula looked like. This is a map of Boston from 1775. So you can see that we were barely a peninsula, right? We were pretty much an island, except for this little thin neck of land right there that connected Boston to the mainland. Now, pretty much there was only two ways in and out of the city, right? Over that little thin neck of land or over the water. Now, do you guys remember a gentleman named Paul Revere? You ever heard of him? What's he famous for, Paul Revere?
Copper.
Making copper. All right, smarty. Yeah, all right. He was a busy man, Paul Revere. He was a coppersmith, a silversmith. He made gunpowder. He made church bells. He made dentures. He was a courier. He had 16 children, 8 with his first wife and 8 with his second wife. He was a Minuteman. But it's mainly just this one midnight ride we've ever heard of, and that was the midnight ride of April 18, 1775. Now, the purpose of which was to warn the militia in the countryside that British forces, some of them would be marching from Boston when they were occupying, and heading to Lexington and Concord to capture some munitions that were stored there. Now, here's the deal. Paul gets a lot of credit for this ride. He was one of 2 men that made the ride from Boston. But this up here, this is a little tip of an area called Charlestown. About 40 riders left from here. The only problem was they didn't know when it was time to leave in order to get a head start on the British. Now, the Wi-Fi in colonial Boston was garbage. Terrible Wi-Fi back then. So they had to send a signal to these guys. Anybody remember how they did it? Lanterns. They held up lanterns in a church steeple called the Old North Church right here in the North End, and they could see it from over there. So these lanterns told them not only that the British forces were leaving the next day, but which way they were going to get off the peninsula, over that little thin neck of land or to boat over the water. Remember the code for the lanterns? 1 if by land, 2 if by sea. Now, doesn't that make more sense now that you're looking at a map of the area? And it worked like a charm. 2 if by sea is how they ended up going. And the sea in this case technically was the Charles River. Give these guys a quack. Super size. Quack, quack! Very nice. Good work, good work. Now, if you guys notice, there's a plaque on the side of that building right there. See the plaque?
Yeah, see the
dude
point.
depicted in the plaque there. That depicts the gentleman who invented the telephone here in Boston back in 1875. Now, he initially was not working on a telephone. He was working on a device that he wanted to use to help deaf people learn to speak. What's this guy's name? Who am I talking about? Who invented the phone?
Who is it? Alexander?
Joseph Verizon. Joseph Verizon. Good guesses, though.
That's why Verizon's a thing.
You're looking at me like you don't believe me. Okay, I'm joking. It was Samuel Sung. Samuel Sung invented the phone here in Boston.
That's why Samsung's a thing.
Yeah, that well, to his friends. Okay, I'm kidding. Everyone knows that it was Tony Mobile. Tony Mobile is who Okay, you're right. Alexander Graham Bell invented the phone in Boston in 1875. Give these people a quack. Super size. Quack, quack! Now, the neighborhood you see directly in front of the duck is called the North End. What do people like to do in the North End? Eat food. It's an Italian neighborhood. Some of the best Italian food in the whole United States is found in Boston's North End. You got to get a cannoli there at least. Go to Mike's, go to Modern, go to Boba, go to all 3. You're on vacation. Who cares? Try them all out. Take the cannoli challenge. Now, coming up on your left, you're going to see the Blackstone Block, the oldest commercial district in the city, named after that first settler, William Blackstone. In front of it are 6 square glass pillars. This is the New England Holocaust Memorial. Have you checked this out yet? It takes you 10 minutes to walk to the base of those towers, read some of the quotes that are etched in the glass, but I promise you, you'll never forget it. It's a real powerful monument. Now then, when you're done with that, explore the Blackstone Block. Go to the oldest restaurant in America over there called the Union Oyster House, a favorite spot of John and Jackie Kennedy. And if you look in front of us on your left, you will see a brick building called Faneuil Hall, built in 1742. Behind it is Quincy Market. Have you guys been to Quincy Market yet? It's a must-do in town. A lot of great shops, restaurants, street performers. Now, in front of Faneuil Hall, there's a picture of Faneuil Hall. Well, this seems a little redundant. And it's blocking our view of the sculpture of Sam Adams. They couldn't put the sculpture in the picture? It's interesting to me. Anyway, you guys heard of Sam Adams? What did he do? Beer maker. Good job, sir. He was never a beer maker, but he was good at brewing up trouble. Sam was very much involved with the Sons of Liberty, the guys behind the shenanigans of the Boston Tea Party and the propaganda of the Boston Massacre, which did happen right here in front of us. Y'all see the pretty brick building in front of us on your right? That is the old State House. That was the seat of British rule in colonial Boston. That building was built in 1713. It then became our first state capitol building. Now, we're going to be turning and driving by the building in a moment. It'll be on our left. And as we do that, if you look on the roof over the balcony, you'll see sculptures of a lion and a unicorn. Those are symbols of the British throne, as well as animals that are native to England. It's like Narnia there. It's a crazy place. Now, you guys have heard of the Boston Massacre? Have you guys heard of Price is Right rules? Do you know what that means? No. It means guessing the closest without going over. Now, keeping that in mind, how many people died in this event we called the Boston Massacre?
8,
some
right?
guesses.
8?
8? We got 8. What else?
It's like
Anybody else?
13.
3? Okay. That was a shrewd Price is Right move.
Wasn't it 8?
8, 3, 4? Anybody else? These are low numbers. 15? 2. Oh, very shrewd. Well, I guess, who said 4? You were the closest without going over. The answer is 5. 5 people died in the Boston Massacre, which really doesn't sound like much of a massacre, does it? And these 5 people weren't just hanging out minding their own business. They were part of an angry mob of people that were throwing rocks at these British soldiers over here. They were threatening them with clubs. One of the colonists and one of the British soldiers began wrestling for the soldier's gun. The gun went off. The other soldiers panicked and fired into the crowd. 5 people were killed. The soldiers, the British soldiers, were arrested. The British soldiers were put on trial here in the colony. Anyone know who defended the British soldiers in their trial? Sam's overachieving cousin, John Adams, a great patriot who ended up becoming our second president, and he got these British soldiers acquitted of murder. So why was it called the Boston Massacre then, if only 5 people died and the people that did it were found to be acting in self-defense? They wanted to get more support for the revolution. They wanted to vilify the British, and it worked like a charm. Speaking of charm, look at the teacup above the Starbucks. It's adorable. Dates back to 1872, that teacup. But it wasn't a Starbucks in 1872. Probably a Dunks. You know what I'm saying? Got a lot of Dunkin' Donuts around here. Give these people a quack. Supersize. Quack, quack. Now, how do you guys feel about dead people? Well, that was way too enthusiastic thumbs up there. Kind of weird. But if you look on your left, you'll see a bunch of them in the King's Chapel Burying Ground, the oldest burying ground in the city. That's where you'll find John Winthrop, the first colonial governor and Puritan leader. You guys remember Paul Revere? Well, he's not buried there. But he did build the church bell that is in the King's Chapel here on our left. Now, the next building you'll see in front of us on your left with the gold trim is the oldest hotel in America, the Omni Parker House Hotel. You ever heard of Boston cream pie? That's where it comes from. Parker House rolls, that's where they come from. Do you want to hear something really weird? Now, coming up on your left, we're going to be driving right by that was the weirdest thing I can think of. You're driving right by the Tremont Temple Baptist Church, the first integrated church in America. The first church in America where white people and black people go to church together at the same time on the same day. That's a little Boston music. And then coming up on your left, you're going to see a bar called the Beantown Pub. And the Beantown Pub is special because it's the only place in the world where you can enjoy drinking a cold Sam Adams while looking across the street at a cold Sam Adams, because he's buried coming up here on your right in the Granary Burying Ground. Now you'll see his grave. It's in the first row. It's like it's a stone with the green plaque on it. It's like the third grave in on the first row there.
Oh, yeah,
it's got the big American flag next to it. There he is. Now listen, escúchame. If you are dead and you were in Boston, this is where you want to hang out. This is the Studio 54 of dead people in our city. There are 3 signers of the Declaration of Independence in here. Samuel Adams, Robert Treat Paine, and John Hancock. Paul Revere is buried here. A guy named James Otis is buried here. Now that's a name you might not know, but James Otis is the guy who said no taxation
Without representation.
without representation. He's buried here. The 5 victims of the Boston Massacre are buried here. Benjamin Franklin's family is here. Where's Ben buried?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, right? Very good. So you've had him for Nathan. You've had him for Philly. Okay, a lot of patting going on over there. You guys communicate. It's fine. Families all have their own ways. Yeah. So here's the deal, though. Benjamin Franklin was born here in Boston, and he lived here till he was about 20 years old. Now he worked with his brother printing a paper at a printing press that was just around the corner, and he got in a huge fight with his brother around the age of 20 about politics.
Read about it.
Big knockdown, drag out fight. And where do you move to after you get in a big fight with your brother?
He went to Philadelphia.
Right, and why Philadelphia?
Oh.
Because it's the city of brotherly love. Very good, Nathan, exactly. City of brotherly love. Now, you got to visit all these burying grounds. They're super fun. Well, I don't know, fun is a weird word, but, they're interesting, and they're free to do. You can see John Hancock's grave there. See the tower with his face on it? See?
Yeah.
Kind of speckled in the light there. Remember John Hancock's signature on the Declaration of Independence? It had to be the biggest signature in the whole place, and then his grave has to be the biggest grave in the whole place. It's like the most obvious example of trying to compensate for something I've ever seen in my life. Now, the church coming up on your right is called the Park Street Church. This is where the song America was sung for the first time in public. Got a dream to take us there. We're coming to America. Got a dream we've come to share. That's Neil Diamond. It wasn't Neil Diamond though. Do you know the song My Country 'Tis the Sweet Land of Liberty, sung on the steps of this church for the first time by a children's choir? You know we ripped that tune off of God Save the Queen, right?
Yes.
Same melody. We just Weird Al Yankovic picked the lyrics to make it about America. Very cheeky of us to do that. Now, if you're taking pictures, point your cameras to your right, because once we pass by this church, you're gonna get a really awesome but quick view of our state capitol building and the beautiful gold dome right there. Isn't that awesome? We'll be driving by that building later, but I like that view. That's the second best looking dome in Boston, I think. Now, does anyone know what this park is on our right? It's the Boston Common. It's the oldest public park in America. Give them a quack. Super says. Quack. Very good. Now here's the deal. The Boston Common is about 48 acres. This is basically the land that William Blackstone sold to the first colonial governor, John Winthrop. But here's the deal. When Blackstone got to the area, the Massachusetts tribe was here, but they didn't live on this peninsula. They just would hunt and fish here. So when he asked them if he could stay on the Shawmut Peninsula, they said that was fine. Shawmut is an Algonquin word meaning living waters. There were some fresh springs on here. But the thing is that, they had no concept of land ownership. So when Blackstone left and Winthrop's like, hey man, how much do I owe you for the land? He was like, $150. So, it was all profit for him. But the Puritans ended up using the area we call the Common as pretty much the way we use it today, as a place to meet up and gather. The Puritans thought it was a very convenient spot to graze cattle, and the Puritans thought it was just the most beautiful place they could find for hanging witches and Quakers, and they did a lot of that. Y'all probably heard of the Salem witch trials, right? Of course you have. But people just say, we were hanging witches here in Boston way before they were in Salem, okay? We were hanging witches back in 1648, so we were the ones setting the trend on the witch hanging. They just had better PR. We should let them have that one, huh? That's a pretty terrible thing to be associated with. Now, if you notice in front of us, there are some lit up marquees because we are entering a bit of our theater district. Now, speaking of theater, if anybody's here into Shakespeare and sitting outside, we have Shakespeare on the Common is starting this week, which is free to attend. In fact, any event that happens on the Boston Common has to be free to attend. They can sell stuff once you're there, but to attend the event must be free. Free to the common man. Now, our theater district is pretty good, and something pretty cool that happens in our theater district is because of our proximity to Broadway, it is not uncommon that Broadway producers like to test out their shows in Boston before they go to Broadway. Now, this happens for a couple reasons. First of all, Boston audiences are brutal and will be very honest with you if there's something you need to change about your show. Second of all, if the show ends up failing, they don't lose a bunch of money by doing it here in Boston, not as much as they would on Broadway. Now, we're talking about shows like La Cage aux Folles, Carousel, Moulin Rouge, Porgy and Bess. There was once a show that played here one summer called Away We Go, but the Boston audiences were like, you should change the name to Oklahoma. So they changed the name to Oklahoma, and it became one of the biggest hits of all time. Now this is actually happening right now as we speak. There's a musical playing in Boston called The Beautiful Noise that will be opening on Broadway in November. It's the Neil Diamond musical. So a lot of moms are super psyched about it. And yeah, that's happening right now. Anybody going to see the show, or have they seen it? I've heard it's pretty good. Give these people a quack. Super sass. Quack, quack! Have you guys ever heard of a writer named Edgar Allan Poe?
Yes.
Now what kind of stuff did he write, Nathan? Like happy stuff? Fun stuff? No, he wrote scary stuff. He was like the Stephen King of the 1800s. Born here in Boston, right around here in this neighborhood called Bay Village. He didn't like it here though too much, so
Yeah,
that's
I've
why he
only-
took off and went to Baltimore. A lot of people don't realize he was born here. There on your right is the Boston Common. And on your left though, check out this beautiful park. This is called the Boston Public Garden. Just gorgeous. And in the middle there, you can see a body of water called the Swan Lagoon and the Swan Boats. I'll tell you more about those later. But have any of you ever read the suspense novel, Make Way for Ducklings by Robert McCloskey? It's a children's book. It's the official children's book of Massachusetts, by the way. And most of the story takes place to our left in the beautiful Boston Public Garden. So because of that, a woman named Nancy Schoen sculpted the main characters from the book, or Mrs. Mounted and her ducklings, Jack, Pack, Quack, Mac, Mac, Oack, Pack, and Quack. And you can see them on your left. There's a crowd of people walking by them. Someone in a blue shirt walking with someone in a green shirt.
Yeah.
If you look right behind them on the
see
ground,
them on
you
the
can see the
ground.
sculptures of the ducklings. Someone is sitting on Mrs. Mallard. These things are world famous, these duckling sculptures. Now, we had some horrible drama with these things about 8 years ago, though. Anybody remember what happened? Somebody stole Pack the duckling, and it was big news. Fox 25 was parked here all day, reporting live from the scene where someone has stolen Pack the duckling. Now, whoever took Pack left him on a corner a few blocks away. He was recovered. He's back with his family. But you know, Pack is still struggling with like trust issues and stuff, but he's getting better every day. He's working through it. Now, does anybody here remember a television show called Cheers? Well, if you look in front of us on your right, now past this first big tree, but the next big tree, you'll see a white awning sticking out with some flags above it. And this is where they did all the outside shots of the bar on the show Cheers. Now this Charlie's going to obscure your view a little bit of it, but it's actually the view once we pass it that they used in the show. Now, has anybody been to this bar in the basement there? It's pretty cool. Do you remember the original name of the bar?
No, it's
The Bull and Finch Pub. That means you had a good time there if you don't remember much about it. But it's pretty cool to go. But it doesn't look like it did in the show, does it?
No, not at all. It's
And did
small.
anybody know your name?
No.
No, me neither. That kind of bummed me out when I was there. Now, for those of you who are too young to remember the show Cheers, it is on Netflix now. On Wednesdays at 8:30 on Netflix. I always try to program my VCR to record it, but I can't figure out how to work that darn thing. But we are about to enter my favorite neighborhood in the city right now. Does anyone know what this neighborhood is called in front of us? It is called Back Bay. And you know why Back Bay is my favorite? Because it's rainy. I like it. It's one of the largest collections of Victorian architecture in the United States. Take a look down Marlborough Street going off to your right here. Just a beautiful residential street. This is my house right here on the corner, number 8. Thank you, it's very nice. I've got hors d'oeuvres, you know, and armoires, all that fancy stuff. Now, if you're taking photographs, though, get your cameras ready, once again, because this next intersection is very pretty. Keyword, intersection, right? We can't stop in the middle of it, but we'll usually go slow. Take a look on your left here. A gorgeous view of the city of Boston, framed by the gates of the public garden. It's like a postcard. Now guys, check out what Bill did. Bill has timed this entire tour to make sure that we get this red light. The amount of math going on up here is staggering. It's like a beautiful mind that got us here. So give him a round of applause, everybody, because this is, I mean, look at that, it's awesome. Now who's that guy on the horse? Now you see the horse, think Paul Revere, but sir, look at the cheekbones. George Washington. You can't miss those famous Washington cheekbones. 6'2" and cheekbones for days, that guy. That's his campaign slogan, actually. Hey, it ain't too shabby looking over here either, is it? Looking down the middle of Commonwealth Avenue, or Com Ave as we call it, fashioned after the Champs-Élysées in France with this beautiful park or mall going down the middle of it. It's about 6 blocks long, well, very worth walking. The architecture on either side is gorgeous, and there's a lot of great monuments and sculptures down the middle. Anyone know who that is there? Well, that sculpture depicts George Washington's right-hand man. Who is George Washington's right-hand man? Alexander Hamilton. So that's Alexander Hamilton over there. Never seen him sing, never seen him dance. He just stands there the entire time. I look at him just like that. It's kind of weird. Give these people a quack. Super size.
Quack, quack!
Now in a moment we're going to be turning onto Newbury Street. What do people like to do on Newbury Street? People like to shop on Newbury Street. I bought my boots on Newbury Street. These are Christian Louboutins. This is red bottoms. This is bloody shoes. And you're going to see some pretty fancy stores here on Newbury Street. Stores like Channel and Rolex and Armani. Stores like that. Pretty good. Now it's about 6 blocks Newbury Street, well worth watching. Not just high-end shopping, but also good restaurants and also some beautiful buildings. There's a church coming up on your right here called the Church of the Emmanuel, built in 1861. There's a little chapel at the end of the church that was added to the church in the 1920s called the Leslie Lindsay Memorial Chapel. Leslie Lindsay was married at the Church of the Emmanuel, and for her honeymoon she took a cruise on a boat called the Lusitania. And then if you look in front of us on your right, you'll see the tallest church in Boston, the Church of the Covenant, made of Roxbury pudding stone. Anybody heard of Roxbury pudding stone? It's the official stone of Massachusetts, because we have an official everything. Now listen, Roxbury pudding stone has nothing to do with pudding, all right? I found that out the hard way. But it's very rare. It's found in only 2 places in the whole world, here and in Western Africa. How is that possible? This same stone is found here in the ground and also in the ground in Western Africa. Anybody? Pangea. Remember the supercontinent, back when all the continents got along and were all connected, and then some terrible drama happened about 200,000 years ago, causing them to slowly drift apart and not speak anymore. I guess we were connected somewhere around Morocco, according to this stone. Now in front of us on your left, there's a very cute little brick and stone building. This is currently the flagship location of Restoration Hardware. But that little building right there was the Museum of Science in Boston until 1957. Now guys, don't worry, I'm going to take you by the Museum of Science later so you can get a look at it. It's a pretty cool place, you should definitely check it out. Now you remember the Museum of Science, right? You're probably wondering, how can they fit all that science into that little building until 1957? What you have to remember is before 1957, not a lot of science, you know? I don't think science started till the 60s. I think 1962 is what they call the dawn of science. Quote me on that. Now, do you remember what this neighborhood is called that we were in? Back Bay, right? Now let's go back to our little map here from 1775. Where's Back Bay on this map? Well, it's over here in the water. The reason why we call this neighborhood Back Bay is that's precisely what it used to be, is the Back Bay of the Charles River. As far as you can see in front of us, all these streets around us, this all used to be water. This is all landfill. 450 acres of landfill. The Back Bay Landfill Project was started in 1857. It took them nearly 40 years to fill this all in, working 6 days a week, 24 hours a day. We have a penchant for long, drawn-out public works projects in the city. Now, when I say landfill, what do you guys think I'm talking about? Trash. No, not trash. This isn't Jersey. No, I'm kidding. That's the Garden State. I'm
Florida State, that.
Well, I never.
That's where we live.
I'm surprised no one patted you on the head in your family when I said that. No, it's like earth and rocks and stuff they brought in from around this area to fill in this land. Now, it's not the only landfill in town either, because this little guy here was only 1.5 square miles. We've added about 3,000 acres to it over the year. So we've changed the entire geography of this area. We love the landfill. Anybody here fly into Logan Airport? Logan Airport is twice as big as the peninsula, all landfill. It's crazy. Now, give these people a quack, supersize.
Quack, quack!
And then look in front of us on your right. You're going to see another lovely church. A church so lovely that we are going to circle the entire thing. We're going to see the back of it here first. We'll see the front of it a little bit. This is called the Trinity Church. Now, unlike the other pretty churches we've seen so far, this church is considered to be one of 10 examples of master architecture in the United States by the American Institute of Architects. It's the only church in the top 10 on that list, and the only building we have in Boston in the top 10 on that list. And it was built in 1877 by an architect named Henry Hobson Richardson. So like I said, we'll see the front of it here momentarily, and it's gorgeous. But right now I want you to look to your left, because we're going to be driving right by the tallest building in Boston, the John Hancock Tower, designed to reflect the beauty around it. So if you look at the windows on the first floor as we drive by, you're going to see a beautiful duck named Red Sox Nathan. Look at Captain Supersize. I mean, do those have ashes ever? I'm sorry, I get distracted by my taste. But here we are in Copley Square, a park named after the portrait artist John Singleton Copley. The hotel on our left is the Fairmont Copley Plaza, known by an entire generation though as the Tipton Hotel from the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. This hotel that is just the outside of the Tipton. Now as you make this turn on our left, you will see the main branch of the Boston Public Library, but on your right you'll see the front of the aforementioned Trinity Church. So either way you look is quite nice. Has anybody here been to the library yet? Guys, listen to me. You gotta go into the public library. It is one of the prettiest buildings you'll ever go in the city. It is free. The doors when you walk in inside were sculpted by Daniel Chester French, the guy who did Abe Lincoln at the Lincoln Memorial. The third floor has a series of murals done by a famous artist named John Singer Sargent that took him 20 years to complete. The courtyard is one of the prettiest places in the city. Isn't it awesome? You gotta go in there. Who got married there? Nice, you guys got married at the library? You nerds. Such nerds there. Everyone just sat around reading. I bet it was awesome. No, I mean, it must have been lovely though. I've seen some weddings happening in there. It's pretty cool. I crash a lot of them, honestly. I stand out though. Now this church on our left is called the New Old South Church. Not the oldest church in Boston, but the oldest congregation. Benjamin Franklin was a member of that congregation. And you'll see some sculptures here in Copley Square. There's John Singleton Copley, the portrait artist. And then in front of the church, you'll see sculptures of a tortoise and a hare. There's a lady in a green shirt standing by the hare there. See the turtle and the rabbit? More on those and lyrics to the Christmas carol, O Little Town of Bethlehem. Now, have you all read the story of the tortoise and the hare? Are you guys familiar with that story?
Yes.
Anybody here remember the moral of that story?
Some more.
What do you got, Nathan?
Slow and steady wins the race.
Slow and steady wins the race. Very good. I asked that question last week, and there was a lady in the back. I was like, what's the moral of that story? This lady yelled out, turtles always win. And I was like, no, that's not the moral of that story. And why is your voice like that? But anyway, why do y'all think we have sculptures reminding us about slow and steady winning a race here on Boylston Street? What happens in Boston every year that make you think about slow and steady winning that race? The Boston Marathon, the finish line of which is about a block and a half behind us here on Boylston Street. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but the Boston Marathon, kind of a big deal. It is the oldest annual marathon in the country, in the world. First run back in 1897. We just celebrated the 126th running of the Boston Marathon about 3 months ago on Patriots Day. But I am very proud to share with you all that this was the first year that I ever ran the Boston Marathon. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you. Wow, no, everyone's just, no clapping. Listen, it wasn't easy, people. I'm not saying it was pretty, but I finished it yesterday.
Oh, wow.
At about 4:30. I'm going to try to get next year. Next year I'm going to try to run the width of the marathon. I was told that it's easier to do the width of the marathon as opposed to the length, so we'll give that a shot, see how it goes. Give these people a quack. Superstars!
Quack, quack!
Excellent. Now, a lot of people don't realize another thing about the marathon is that half the 30,000 people that run it every year are qualified, right? They're the people that have qualified in other marathons to run it. The other 15,000 people, though, are running it because they raised enough money for charity to run the marathon. So every year the Boston Athletic Association gives out about 15,000 bibs to different charities who then basically auction them off or have people raise money for them. The marathon raises close to $15 million every year for different charities, which is pretty awesome. It's one of the reasons why we love it. Now, another wonderful thing about Back Bay is, I don't know if you notice, but the streets are all at right angles because it's laid out in a grid, which, you know, for Boston is crazy. They built the neighborhood from the ground up, so the streets make sense. Now, there's something else they did with the streets in the Back Bay to help you find your way around. I'll give you a hint. The church we're going to be coming up in right now is called Arlington Street Church because the front of it faces Arlington Street. This was the first building built in the Back Bay because they started filling it in at Arlington Street and moving back that way. So what do we do with the names of the streets here in the Back Bay? Starts with Arlington and goes alphabetically. So this is Arlington in front of us. Behind us is Berkeley, then Clarendon, Dartmouth, Exeter, Fairfield, Gloucester, and Hereford. So easy to find your way around this neighborhood. Now, the Arlington Street Church is also very proud of the fact that it has 16 original full-size Tiffany windows. Now, you've heard of Tiffany the jeweler. His son, Louis Comfort Tiffany, was very good with glass. I'm sure maybe some of you have heard of Tiffany lamps, that kind of thing. So these windows he made, they are absolutely gorgeous, and I'm told that they are priceless. Which means they're free, right? They don't have a price. So yeah, you know what? Go there, take one home with you back to Jersey, spruce up the place a little bit. They're great. Now, this church is also pretty proud of the fact that back in 2004, it was the first church in the United States to legally wed a same-sex couple. Now, coming up on your left, is that an ice cream truck? Can we stop? No, I can't. No. I'm sorry. I'm on a diet. I got distracted. I apologize. But this is the Boston Public Garden once again. And in the middle from this angle, you can see that body of water and a much better view of the middle where you can see the Swan Lagoon and the world famous swan boats. Have y'all taken a swan boat ride in Boston yet? You got to do this, people. They've been a staple in the city since 1877. The swan boats have been here.
Wow.
They only cost like $4.50 to ride. Did you know how they're powered?
By your feet, right?
By,
Pedal them?
like pedals, like a bicycle, but you don't pedal them. You just sit in one of the benches in the front, and somebody who works there sits behind the white swan in the back, and they pedal you around the lagoon. That's the main reason I work for the duck tours, swan boats. I make it like halfway around the lagoon, then you'd be on your own. But I like talking about the swan boats because lagoon is my favorite word. Is it weird to have a favorite word as an adult? I feel like it's strange. But anyway, lagoon is mine. Everyone try saying it. Everyone say lagoon.
Lagoon.
Isn't it beautiful? It floats out of your mouth. I looked it up last year. I discovered that lagoon is a French word. And it means the goon.
Hey,
You
this
get
is
it?
me.
Because la is the and then goon. I am on fire today. You guys are so lucky to be here. Now, speaking of Spanish, right now you might be feeling some deja vu as we head down Charles Street once again. Now, we were on Charles Street a little bit ago, do you remember? But at that point, many of you were unaware that all that used to be water. I couldn't tell you the reason this is called Charles Street. This is the original shoreline of the Shawmut Peninsula to the back bay of the Charles River. So on your right is natural, on your left is landfill. Going back to our map from 1775, that's the Boston Common on the map, and we're driving right up the coast right now. Now, if I didn't tell you that was natural land, how could you tell? What's over on your right and on your left that make you think that's natural and that isn't?
Hill.
Hills and elevation. So as you explore Boston, if it's hilly and the roads are winding, chances are it's natural land. If it's flat and the roads are straight, chances are you got yourself a landfill. Now give me a quack and make it good. Super size.
Quack, quack!
That was excellent. But we are about to enter a no quacking zone. We do have no quacking zones in Boston, like every other civilized city in the world. But ours are residential neighborhoods. We're about to drive up Beacon Hill. This ain't just any neighborhood either. Beacon Hill is one of the nicest neighborhoods in Boston. John Hancock was one of the first people to have a home here on Beacon Hill. Now the style of architecture you're looking at on your left is called Federal style. You can tell by the ornate windows above the doors called transoms, the Greek columns, the insanely ornate wrought iron railings. Guys, you gotta walk through Beacon Hill, okay? Spend 20 minutes getting lost in this neighborhood. You will not regret it, because not only is it beautiful, but it's also very unique to our city. Take a look down Spruce Street on your left. The whole neighborhood is a lot like that. It's just gorgeous. There's a little driveway coming up on your left, right before these flags. If you look down the driveway, you'll see one of the old carriage houses. Quaint,
Yeah.
This white stone building is the Somerset Club, the oldest private gentleman's club in Boston, where rich guys go for dinner. Then the brick building you'll see next to it, look at the windows on the first floor. You'll see purple panes of glass in some of the windows. Now
Yeah.
keep your eyes out for purple panes of glass on Beacon Hill, because if you see one, it's original from the 1820s. Because in the 1820s is when they did the first big development of this hill, and almost all the glass they used came in one shipment from a glassmaker in Europe that put too much manganese oxide in the glass.
Wow.
And everybody knows what happens to manganese oxide when it gets exposed to sunlight.
Yeah.
Burns purple. That old manganese oxide. It's my favorite oxide, I think, of all of them. Now, if you look off to your right, there's a body of water down there in the Boston Common called the Frog Pond. Very shallow little man-made pond. It's about this deep. And as you can see on hot days, I let kids splash around in there. What about on cold days in the winter? Ice skating, a lovely spot for outdoor ice skating. But the prettiest part of Beacon Hill is up on the top. On your left, once again, you will see our state capitol building, the State House of Massachusetts. You'll see a sculpture of John F. Kennedy right there, running away from Darth Vader, maybe, up on the window? I don't know. But this is the third oldest state capitol still in use in our country today. The cornerstone laid on the 4th of July, 1795 by Sam Adams and Paul Revere. Now do me a favor though, take a look on your right for me too, because between these two big trees is my favorite sculpture in the whole city, the Robert Gould Shaw, Massachusetts 54th Regiment Memorial. The 54th was the very first all-black volunteer regiment formed in the North to fight in the South in the American Civil War. Anybody on this stuff see a film called Glory from the 80s? Isn't that a fantastic movie? If you haven't seen it, you gotta see it. It's about the 54th. It's got a young Denzel Washington. It's got Morgan Freeman, who's always been the same age. Ferris Bueller playing Robert Gouldshaw. Great film. Now, if you look on your left, it looks like that lady's sitting, like, texting in church. But she's not. That's Mary Dyer. She was a Quaker living in the colony with the Puritans. Now, the Puritans came here for what reason?
To escape religious
To escape religious persecution, and then they proceeded to persecute everybody else. She was made to leave Boston due to the fact she was not a Puritan, but she thought that was crazy. She thought people should be able to leave what they want, so she refused to leave until the Puritans executed her. But her bravery later on inspired John Adams to add freedom of speech and freedom of religion to our Bill of Rights. Now, if you look on your left, the firefighter memorial from the state of Massachusetts. And then on your right, it was John F. Kennedy's official legal address throughout his political career, 122 Bowdoin Street, this apartment building here. Kennedy had to establish his legal address in this area when he got into local politics, so he got a little apartment on the 3rd floor of that building that he rarely stayed in, but was his official legal address. That was the address on his driver's license the day he died, 122 Bowdoin Street, Boston, Mass. Although, where was he living when he died?
The White House?
The White House, but no one can use the White House as their legal address. You're just kind of staying there when you're there. Now, here on your left, this Greystone Church is the Church of John the Evangelist. There was once a preacher at that church named Lyman Beecher. Lyman Beecher had a daughter that grew up to become a writer. What was her name? Harriet Beecher Stowe. She wrote a very famous anti-slavery book called Uncle Tom's Cabin. First book published in the States to sell 1 million copies. Massachusetts was the first state to abolish slavery back in 1780, and this neighborhood, the North Slope of Beacon Hill, was home to one of the largest populations of free black citizens in the U.S. before the American Civil War. Now, just as we pass by this truck, take a look on your left and look up Temple Street. You might get a look at some of the gassed street lights on Beacon Hill. See those? Those are the street lights. Has anybody here walked through Beacon Hill at night before? Oh my gosh, isn't it gorgeous, sir? Walking up and down those brick sidewalks under that warm gas light, looking at all the rich people's windows at their stuff. It's a great time. You might be thinking, yeah, that sounds good, but did you notice that the lights were on, the street lights were on? We never turned them off. We discovered 50 years ago that it was cheaper to leave the gas lights on all the time than it is to pay lamplighters to relight them. So they've been lit 24/7 now for the past 50 years. Like my grandma, which is honestly becoming awkward, and we're gonna have to have tough combos soon, I think. Give these people a quack. Supersize.
Quack, quack!
Very nice. Now, there is a tiny little building in front of us on your left with the AirPods ad on it. See the blue billboard? Now, did anybody here give these guys a quack? Supersize.
Quack, quack!
Anybody here see a movie called Up? Have you ever seen that film? This little building reminds me a lot of that movie in the sense that it's kind of like a little building that the neighborhood has moved on, but this building has not. It is called the Last Tenement Building. Now, prior to the 60s, this entire neighborhood was just blocks and blocks of these little tenements all connected to each other. But then in the 50s and 60s, we did some urban renewal in the area. All the old tenements were torn down. Now, how the owner of this building managed to not sell it, I don't know. There are rumors that there may have been some mafia connections, but all I know is that it's still here and it's ridiculous. 3 windows wide, 4 stories tall, and people live here. People still live here. People that need a lawnmower, like real bad.
Wow.
But, isn't that crazy? They called the Old West End the greatest neighborhood this side of heaven. That's why it's etched in the on-ramp there. Now, I want you to look on your right, though, for me, too, because you're about to get your first view of the Leonard P. Zacum Bunker Hill Memorial Bridge. I like this view, though, because you see the Bunker Hill monument sticking up in the distance to the cables of the bridge? Now, look at the towers of the bridge. Ah, they were built to look like the Bunker Hill monuments. That was my idea. To do that, I'm very proud of that. We'll talk more about that later. Right now, though, I want to show you my favorite residential building in the whole city, this brick building on your left. As you come around the front, you'll see that it's built right on the banks of the Charles River, waterfront property. It's got a private gym, a private restaurant, an assortment of bars. This is the Suffolk County Jail. I'm glad you didn't tap anybody on the head when I said that. That's a good sign for your family. Well, when they announced they'd be putting a jail here in the 90s, this neighborhood, the West End, got nervous. Nobody wanted some big, ugly, Shawshank-looking building in the neighborhood, so they actually hired some pretty good designers and built the Taj Mahal. I think it's nice on the outside. You see the view from the inside. It's gorgeous. No, I've never been there. It's just that my dad told me that I don't want to talk about that anymore. Now we're going to be going under this old bridge-type structure here. This is called the Lechmere Viaduct. It's an elevated portion of the Green Line, which is one of our subway lines. The Green Line is the oldest subway system in America.
Cool.
Has anybody here ridden on the Green Line before?
No.
Yeah. So then you're probably not too shocked to find out that it's the oldest subway system in America. I don't think they've really changed a whole lot to it since 1997. It's very loud and very slow, but it gets you around. Now this is a pretty cool look though, looking down this way of the Leech River Viaduct, because this was built in 1910, but we just finished like a
Smells like
multi-year refurbishment of this, so it's looking pretty good right now. And the Green Line is back running, extended out to Somerville. We're also about to drive over a drawbridge, and we're going to be back on top of the old Charles River Dam. Do you guys remember the old Charles River Dam? It's where we met at the Museum of Science. Oh, do you guys remember that? You guys were learning how to kayak, and I hadn't even mentioned landfill at that point. Those are good times for us. So as we go over the dam this time, though, I don't want you to look at the Museum of Science. You've seen that. I want you to look to your right through the archways of the viaduct, where you will get some pretty good views of the monument for the Battle of Bunker Hill. Now, the Battle of Bunker Hill was the bloodiest battle in the American Revolution. And who won the Battle of Bunker Hill? What? Did you say nobody? That was a very wise, sage-like answer, sir. Well, in a way, you're kind of right. I mean, technically speaking, the British won the battle in the sense that at the end of the day, they took the hill. However, it was June 17, 1775, and it was 2,000 British soldiers against 700 militia. Militia that had snuck up the night before onto Breed's Hill and built some fortifications up there. The next morning, the British woke up in Boston, looked across the harbor, saw that the militia up there, and were like, well, we better get them off of there. So they sent 3 ships full of troops over to Charlestown. Do you know the first thing the British did when they got there? They had lunch, they had some sandwiches, they had some wine. They weren't too worried about this, right? They were the most well-trained soldiers in the world against 700 militiamen. But the militia was pretty well dug in up there, and they fought back very successfully. At the end of the day, the casualty ratio was 2-to-1 in favor of the militia. The British had about 1,000 casualties that day compared to the militia's 300. So why did the militia end up retreating at the end of the day? Well, they weren't very well supplied. They ran out of bullets and they had to retreat. Now, even though they technically lost, though, it was definitely a Pyrrhic victory for the British. They never would have tried to take the hill had they known they would lose so many men. You guys have heard that saying, right? Don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes. A statement that many have credited to Colonel William Prescott in charge of the militia, telling his men to not fire until someone is so close, you know, you're going to hit them, right? So you can see the whites of their eyes. A wonderful order, but a horrible twist of fate for a young British soldier called Bug-Eyed Nigel. His first red coat to get it that day. Now guys, take a look on your left really quick. See this concrete slab standing up with the graffiti on it?
Yeah.
That's actually a piece of the Berlin Wall. And that graffiti you see, the guy with the blue hat and the pink jacket, is original from Berlin. That's why there's plexiglass there to protect it. Pretty awesome, huh?
Yeah.
Now, of course, the Berlin Wall was torn down in 1989 during a David Hasselhoff concert. He's like the Neil Diamond of Germany, you know? And that piece of the wall was actually given as a gift to the founder of the company that occupies all these buildings here, a company called EF. They're a Swedish company. This is their North American headquarters. They do student exchange programs, foreign language immersion programs. They built this building here on your right about 10 years ago. They brought the whole building over here in one flat box. And they put it all together with these little Allen wrenches. Now the instructions are very hard to understand, but there were no pieces left over. So that was my IKEA joke.
That's the skateboard part.
Now if you guys want to glean the cube, you can do it here at the Lynch Family Skate Park. It's a great film. I'll tell you more about this later, but do you guys want to go in the water?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk safety. Now, I am not just a superhero. I'm also a Coast Guard licensed captain. If you look above me, you will see life jackets. These life jackets held up by these straps. Pull the strap, it releases 2 life jackets. Give them a quack, super fast. Oh, they caught us off guard on that one. That was my fault. Now, if you weigh over 90 pounds, pull one of the straps with the yellow tips. If you weigh under 90 pounds, keep it to yourself. No one likes a bragger. But use one of the ones with the red tips. Now, if we had to exit the vehicle in the water for any reason, the exits are the windows all around you, the windshield, and that back section of the roof does slide forward. We have a life ring and a fire extinguisher, both forward and aft. We have a marine band radio and a company-wide radio. Now, all that Bill has to do for this stuff to go in the water is put us into low gear. He's going to turn off the headlights and put on the navigation lights. And then the most important step is he's going to pull a lever on his left that is going to mechanically connect the prop shaft to the drive shaft. So in a way, this is the same thing as putting a car into 4-wheel drive, but we're not adding an axle, we're adding a drive shaft instead. That's it. Now we got a duck in front of us, Annie Aquarium. I'm going to give her a little bit of room. And then I think we'll be good to go. Now, a lot of people think the wheels fold up or something. They don't. The back wheels, actually, we don't turn them off. The back wheels will spin the whole time we're in the water. They don't do anything for us, but they spin. And whenever Bill turns that steering wheel on land or water, it turns both the front wheels and the rudders in the back. So again, rudders don't do anything for us on land, front wheels don't do anything for us in the water, but they both will move. I think we're good? All right, now Bill's gonna honk the horn. He's gonna need you guys to give him a quack. You ready? All right, here we go. Super size.
Quack, quack! Like a lot cool.
It is pretty cool, isn't it?
Awesome.
Now, as we go on this little bridge here, do Bill and I a favor, make sure you keep your hands and everything inside the vehicle. And also make sure you don't pay any attention to all the different color scratches and paint on the wood to your left. Yes, you were. Yeah, this is here. And welcome to the Charles River, everybody.
Cool.
Not so bad out here on the river. Actually, today hasn't been so bad. I was watching the news this morning and they were like, oh, it's going to be a scorcher in Boston. Make sure and wear light-colored, loose-fitting clothes. So I wore a black spandex onesie, knee-high boots, but whatever, I'm fine, I'm doing good. And look at how beautiful the Glamour Slammer looks from the water. Right? Trees in front of it. Back in 2018, oh, there's a Canada goose there too.
Yeah.
Canada geese are very common in the Charles River. They love hockey and rush. I was giving a tour back in 2018 and there were these two guys sitting right here. I don't know if you saw this seat says reserved. That's for Harrison Ford. If he ever decides to give our tour, we always save the seat. Save the seat for Harry is what we say, you know? Good motto. Anyway, in 2018 we didn't do that. These two guys were sitting here. I started talking about the jail. They started laughing. I'm like, what's going on? This guy's like, well, I used to live there. I was like, oh yeah? He's like, yeah, and me and my roommate, I love that he said roommate. It's like, we used to place bets at night on what we thought the first colored duck would be to splash into the river the next morning. So that was interesting to find out that we're part of jail bets going on. I just hope no one ever got shanked because of us. That'd be terrible if you're like the cause of shanking. Now, the Charles River was named by and for King Charles I. But he named the river when he was just a little boy. Do you guys remember Pocahontas? Remember John Smith? Now, these were real people, right? And John Smith was actually a very well-known explorer who made a lot of very detailed maps of this area. The maps were sent back to England, and they were given to the king, and the king took one of the maps and gave it to his little son Charles. And he said, son, you can name anything you want on this map after whatever you want. So little Charles looked at the map and said,
Daddy, I want to name the biggest one you find on the map after myself.
That's what he sounded like. And the biggest thing on the map was the river, so he said after his son. Does anyone know what happened to King Charles I after he grew up to be king? He lost his head, which is interesting. Because every year we have a big boat race to the regatta on the Charles River called the Head of the Charles. I don't know if there's a weird Mormon connection there. Oh gosh, look, we have kayakers, we have geese. It's crazy. Give these people a quack, super size.
Quack, quack!
Now, we'll be going by a whole gaggle of Canada geese here on your left.
Oh look, there they are.
Now, the Charles River, these geese are a very good sign that our river is not polluted, although that wasn't always the case. For many years, there were no such thing. Fine, I'm giving a tour. There were no such things as environmental laws, right? Stop it. To protect bodies of water like the river. So factories would dump stuff into it. There was sewage runoff from the city. You couldn't swim in it. You couldn't fish out of it. Even all the birds like that stopped hanging out here. Now, back in 1995, a group called the Charles River Watershed Association started turning that around. We also got the Environmental Protection Agency to grade us every year on the river. The grade we got in 1995 was a D. You know what grade we got last year? B+. I'll take it from a D to a B+. I mean, the river's fishable again. It is swimmable again. The birds are obviously back. In fact, for the last 15 years, the Environmental Protection Agency has named the Charles River the cleanest urban river in the whole United States. That is mind-blowing that we have turned this river around in that way. But you can do that kind of thing, you know? Now, in a moment here, Bill is going to honk the horn. Don't be alarmed. It's just that we're approaching a blind corner. And it's a good one, too, because once you pass by this corner, the river's going to open up nicely as we enter the old Charles River Basin. Now, I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with the Department of Transportation rules and regulations regarding commercial drivers. So you'll understand that CDL drivers like Bill are required to take a series of breaks throughout the day. The thing is though, we can't schedule them. They have to happen at these like random intervals, and sometimes the time is kind of messed up. So unfortunately, Bill has to take a break right now. I gotta keep talking, but I do need some assistance. Excuse me, young man, will you do me a favor? Will you come here real quick? I need your help with something. What's your name? What is it? Caleb? Nice to meet you, Caleb. Will you do me a favor? Will you sit there real quick? Thank you, Caleb. And will you drive? Awesome, thank you. Obviously very comfortable with this. I can take a photo for me for you. I got a good vantage point. You ever drive a duck before, Caleb? It's fine. Just aim for the water. You're doing good.
Aim for the water.
Hey, Caleb, can I get a smile over there? Oh, that's on selfie mode. That's a picture you have on here. Give me a smile, Caleb. Nice. Doing good, doing good. Now I got a question. Who here can tell me what this big city is on our left? Okay, that's Boston, everybody. That's where you've been for the last hour. Good job. So, that's Boston on the left. What's on the right? It ain't Boston. It's Cambridge. There's Boston. There's Cambridge. Thank you. So yeah, that's it. Separated away by the river. Caleb, you've done a really good job. Give him a round of applause, everybody. Thank you very much. Here you go, Caleb. Come here. Caleb. Come here. He doesn't want to stop. It's like Bill at the end of the day. Watch your step there. I got you a sticker. Very nice work. Do you want to try? Awesome. Come on up here. What's your name? Lucas? Have a seat up there, Lucas. Lucas, give me a smile over here. Nice. Doing good, Lucas. Doing good. Doing good. Now this section of Cambridge is probably not the part of Cambridge you think about. When you think of Cambridge, this isn't where Harvard is, where that colonial architecture is. This is known as East Cambridge, or Kendall Square. This was the industrial center of this whole area for the 18 and 1900s. This was all glass factories, textile mills, stockyards, and distilleries. Lucas, you've done a great job. Give Lucas a round of applause, everybody. Thank you very much, Lucas. There you go, Lucas. There's your sticker. Now watch your step there. There you are. You want to give this thing a shot?
All right.
Even you in the blue. Are you sure? I'll give you 20 bucks, 20 US. All right, never mind. How about you, Nathan? You want to try? No?
Good job,
Okay,
try.
well, you can think about it a little bit. I know you do, though, behind the lady in the maroon shirt. With the long hair. I know you want to come up here and try. Yes, you do. $30, $30 US dollars for you if you come up here. How about you with the green shirt and the glasses? Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you people today? Do you understand how few people drive a vehicle on the water? All right, you with your hand raised, coming up here. Vehicle on the water that goes on land, it's a special thing. I don't know either. Here you go, then what's your name? Annette, very nice to meet you, Annette. Fist bump. Why don't you pass the phone up here? I can get the phone up for you. I'll bring one. I'll put it in your hand. Where are you from, Annette? Where? Dedham, Massachusetts, city of the future. Give me a smile over here, Annette. Nice, doing good. Now the bridge you see in front of us is called the Longfellow Bridge, named after the writer and poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Now we just finished 7 years of a 3-year restoration project of this bridge. It took them a while, but guys, you're looking at a brand new 115-year-old bridge. They treated it like a work of art. It looks incredible right now. It was built in 1908. And look at the beautiful gold dome of the State House shining in the sun up on Beacon Hill. Like Boston's gold too. Boston's Grill. That's real gold. 13 pounds of 23.5 karat gold leaf gilded the top of that dome. Last time it was gilded was 1997 with a cost of $300,000. Annette, you've done a wonderful job. Give her a round of applause. Thank you, Annette. Now, anybody else exactly want to try this? You with the blue shirt? Why don't you go if you're raising your hand? You know this kid too? Yeah? What's his name? Jack. Get up here, Jack. What's up, buddy? Fist bump? No? Okay.
I'd say it's time you get your driver's
Now, as you go onto the
license.
bridge, take a look at the front of the Viking ships coming out of the base of the 2 center piers of the bridge. Very Game of Thronesy. Very Instagrammable. Jack, you gotta take the wheel. You're driving, okay? Give me a smile over here, Jack. Nice. Doing good. Doing good. And we want to go under the bridge, not through the bridge, okay? Doing awesome. Now, Jack, do you see the sailboats? Now, one of the first things you learn in captain school is that sailboats always are worth 25 points apiece. Now kayaks are worth 10, but it adds up super quick. Oh, guys, it's gorgeous out here. Now what Jack's going to do is he's going to turn us to the right here a little bit. Now what he's doing that for is for you guys on the left to get a photograph of the skyline of Back Bay. Then we'll go the other way for you guys on the right. If you're sitting on the left, that's your best bet to get those cameras out. Very nice work. Thank you, Jack. Excellent job. How many kids you got, man? Like 15? Okay, all right. Come on over. You're like Paul Revere. Just up here, Jack. Any other ones want to come up here and try this? No, Jack, this next thing. Okay. Oh, there you go. We got this guy coming up here. This one of yours too? Hey! Now, Johnny, you're gonna get splashed, but don't worry. B+. Oh boy, Johnny's ready to go. You should let him drive home. Now, if you look off to your right, you can see a building with a ball on top in Cambridge. See that building with the ball on top? That's called the Green Building, part of the campus of MIT. You guys heard of MIT? It's a technical school. It's like ITT. You know, you can major in like locksmithing, muffler repair, these kinds of things. And then you can see the Citgo sign up the river. There's a big red triangle on it. Over by Fenway Park, the oldest ball back in England baseball. Oh, he's really into this. Yeah. And then you can see the three tallest buildings in Boston are over here in Back Bay. Now the tallest is the one we drove by, saw a reflection, and it's got the black stripe down the side. Looks just like a PlayStation 4. That is the John Hancock Tower. It's 62 floors. It's the tallest building in New England. The second tallest building is lower the antenna on top of the Prudential, followed by One Dalton Place. Johnny, I hate to do this to you, but he's done a wonderful job. Give Johnny a round of applause, everybody. He's not letting go. Bill, I think you've been replaced. There you go. Here's your sticker, my man. Very nice. The youngest are always the best. It's just a fact. Let's see here. I need someone else to try this, though. Now we're going to start to actively recruit people. How about you in the back corner back there with this brown sunglasses? Yeah, get up here. Seriously, you got to do it. No more Mr. Nice Guy. I'm demanding this now as the captain of the vessel. I have the right to do these things. Now, the park system, you see these parks along the side of the river, it's called the Esplanade, a beautiful man-made park. What's up? What's your name? Natalie. Where are you from, Natalie? Vermont. Excellent. The Dairy State. I'll take that home for you there. What are you doing in Boston? Visiting? Who are you visiting? Where's your mom at? Oh, okay, at the hospital. That's a great question, Captain Supersize. Good work. Well, we'll wave to her when we go by. Now, the Esplanade's pretty awesome. It's where we celebrate the 4th of July here in Boston. And many of the sailboats come from that little boathouse over here called Community Boating. Give me a smile over here. Nice, doing good, doing good. Excellent work. Now, guys, like I said, we just refurbished this bridge, right? And like I said, it's pretty much brand new. And if you go into the bridge, I want you to look at the steel, because they had to replace about 70% of it, but they couldn't weld the new steel onto the bridge because welding wasn't a thing in 1908. They had to relearn a technique known as hot riveting, where they take these bolts, heat them to the red hot, and drive them through the steel to connect it. So all those bumps you see on the steel were all put there by hand. It's crazy. And it's also very nice under here. I've spent a lot of time under bridges in my life, and this is one of the nicest bridges I've ever been under. Very good. You've done a wonderful job. Give her a round of applause. Thank you. And I really like your sunglasses. Here's your sticker. All right, don't lose that. There you go. That's for you. All right, let's see here. I need another person to do this thing. How about you in the Boston hat? Why don't you come try this? You sure? $40. 40 US. Gosh, you people are very difficult today. Not for you. No. That deal is not for you, Bill. Fine. Take that note. Now, on your right, most of these large buildings you see over here are part of the Massachusetts General Hospital. Now, no joke, guys. Mass General Hospital is one of the best hospitals in the country, if not the world. Every year, the U.S. World Vision Report publishes the definitive list of the top 20 hospitals in the United States. Mass General, always in the top 10, mostly in the top 5. It's been number 1 twice in the past 7 years. Currently, it is ranked the 5th best hospital in the country. So, while you're here, get injured, get sick, but got to. Now, guys, Boston Children's Hospital was ranked the number 1 children's hospital in the country for the last 6 years in a row. Do you work in a children's hospital? I know we're crushing it, huh? I'm like, why do you even bother helping kids in Philly anymore? Because we're just embarrassing you here at Boston Children's Hospital. Look, all right, we got a dynasty. It's like Bill Belichick's in charge over there. And then he's really good with kids. He's like a fun. You're the first person who's ever like made a frustrated sound when I talk about Boston Children's Hospital. You should sabotage them while you're here. Or maybe go work there. You could move to Boston. You know, Nathan could drive ducks.
That's right.
He's pretty good at that. Heck, it'll work out. Now, Mass General was the very first hospital to ever record the use of ether as an anesthetic for surgery. And it was the first hospital to ever successfully reattach a severed limb to that Mass General. We also have a hospital in Boston called Brigham and Women's Hospital, which was, I believe, ranked number 12 last year in the top 20 hospitals. Brigham and Women's Hospital is where they performed the first full facial transplant in the United States, and where I got my appendix taken out a couple weeks ago. You have a 45-year-old man who got appendicitis. Superheroes aren't supposed to do that, but they were willing me into surgery. I remember everything until I fell asleep, and they go, hey, you do the duck tours, why don't you tell us a joke? Tell us one of your duck tour jokes. And I was like, well, there's this bar across from this burying ground where Sam Adams is buried. So that's what I chose. That could have been the last thing I ever said in my life. And it was the stupid joke about a cold Sam Adams. That was a bit of a spiritual crisis for me. Anyway, now I don't know if you guys remember those sailboats we saw out on the river there, and I mentioned they come from a place called Community Boating. Community Boating is a real treasure in Boston. Anybody can get an 8-month membership there for $400. Now that includes sailing lessons. So once you learn how to sail, you can grab a sailboat and take it out whenever you want, even bring a friend. Their motto is sailing for all. They actually have sailboats there that have been modified in many different ways. They're operated by people with many different physical disabilities. It's a really cool place. Now the coolest thing about that place is they have a summer program there, which is essentially day camp for kids between the ages of 10 and 18, 5 days a week, all summer long, and it costs $1 for kids to attend. One horn game, that's it. Now, if a kid comes from a wealthier family, the most they will pay is $400, which is still crazy for the whole summer. And 70% of the kids that attend do it by only paying $1. So that's why the whole place was started, was so kids could learn to sail. The adult memberships were added later just to fund that program. Now, some of you guys may have helped fund it too when you bought your tickets today. They may have asked you if you wanted to round the total of your bill up to the nearest dollar and donate that to different local charities. This is a program we started about 10 years ago called Quack Quack Give Back, which is totally adorable. Here, sir, you can have, I saw you looking at these. There you go. But I want you to go with that. Don't worry about it. So yeah, people like yourselves donate the change. The Duck Tours matches it. And then we give that money to Community Boating, the Charles River Cleanup Boat, the Charles River Watershed Association, and the Needs Foundation, which is an organization that trains free therapy dogs for veterans. Now, you might not think that'd be a lot of money, but over the last 10 years, we have raised close to $1 million, which is pretty awesome. Bill and I love helping community boating too, because nothing is better than being out here on like a windy morning with 50 10-year-olds who are learning how to sail. A lot of high scores those days, a lot of fun. Now this is the entirety of the Museum of Science. Have you guys been to the Museum of Science yet? It's pretty cool, right? What was your favorite thing in the Museum of Science, do you remember? The electricity show, that is the correct answer. The Theater of Electricity, they're the world's largest Van de Graaff generator in there. Built by Professor Van de Graaff himself. It's like a 3-story tall lightning machine. It's very cool. It's kind of loud, but it's awesome. The Dover Aquarium is also a good way to spend a hot day. Yeah, this guy can't just hang out in the middle of the lawn like that. There you go, buddy. The aquarium has some of the best seafood in all of Boston. Some of the freshest seafood in the whole city. Now, this little park here behind the Museum of Science has become a very popular spot for weddings. A lot of people like to get married here behind the Museum of Science, and not just for the beautiful views of the river, but also for the chemistry. Science joke. Now, the little canal we're driving through is the lock of the old Charles River Dam. Take a look on your right. You'll see one of the old giant doors that would slide out from the right to the left to close off this end of the lock. Now, this is no longer in use, obviously. We have a new dam and a new set of locks about a quarter mile in front of us. But what this was a way for boats to pass from the harbor to the river without the water level of the river being affected by the harbor. So if this was still in use, there'd be a door closed in front of us right now, right before the drawbridge. We would tie it to the side, they would close that door behind us, adjust the water level to match whatever the harbor was doing, then open the door in front of us so so we can pass through. So it's pretty cool turn of the century there. All of it built in 1908. And did you see the signatures on the ceiling of the dock? Did you notice that they are military signatures? If there's anybody on the suck that is either current or former military that would like to sign my route, let me know after the tour. I'll give you a marker. I'd be honored if you do it. Now, Bill's gonna honk the horn again. Don't be alarmed. It's not a blind corner. It's gonna freak you out. Nice work. Now, the reason why we do this, this isn't just a way that we honor our servicemen and women in this country, but it's also a way that we kind of give a nod to the military history of this vehicle. Give this guy a quack. Superstars! Quack, quack! They built 20,000 ducks during World War II between 1942 and 1945 at the General Motors plant in Pontiac, Michigan. Now when I say they built, I mean women predominantly built these ducks during World War II, Rose of the Riveter and such. And at one point the Boston Duck Tours proudly operated 21 of the original World War II ducks. But about 15 years ago, we had to start phasing them out. They were just getting too old and hard to maintain. So now we have 28 newer models like Nathan here. So Nathan is basically the same design as the old ones, but Nathan is much safer. Nathan can run on biodiesel. Nathan has little things like shocks and power steering. Now another misconception is that we call them ducks just because it's a cute name for a vehicle that goes on land and water. But it was actually the soldiers in World War II that referred to these vehicles as ducks. And the only reason why was because of a very weird coincidence. All the vehicles that GM made for the war were given a 4-letter code as their identification. And the 4 letters for this vehicle were D-U-K-W. And it kind of spells duck. Now the reason for these 4 letters is the first letter tells you what year the vehicle was designed, going in alphabetical order from the first year of World War II. So had this been designed in 1939, it would never have been a duck. It would have been an AUKW. 1940 would have been a WUKW, and so on and so forth. The U is for utility. Any vehicle that wasn't a combat vehicle was given a U. The K is for front wheel drive, which Bill is now engaging. The reason they chose letter K for that is it looks like an axle with an arrow pointed forward. And the W was chosen because of the word double. We have a double rear axle in the back. So that's how you get DUKW. That's why we're called ducks, and that's why I'm very thankful they weren't designed in 1944. Kind of changed our business model quite a bit. You got a duck coming out here? We're coming in. I am going for it. And then on your right, a nice view of the Leonard Zakum Bridge. Now Bill's going to be honking that horn again momentarily. Don't be alarmed, just letting people know we're approaching the ramp. Anybody here know who the Leonard Zakum Bridge was named after? Leonard Zakum. And he was a cool guy, Lenny Zakum. He was head of the Anti-Defamation League for many years. He was also good buddies with the boss. Now when I say the boss, Jersey, who am I talking about? Bruce Springsteen. And when they dedicated the bridge, Bruce came out and played Thunder Road up there on the bridge for his late buddy, which makes it a pretty cool bridge dedication. Are we cool now? Did I make up for the landfill? Okay, alright. It's always how you win people from New Jersey back. You just mention Bruce Springsteen and they get these hearts in their eyes. Now in a moment, you're going to feel the front wheels of the vehicle make contact with the ramp. Now the reason why we have to turn the front wheels on is our propeller isn't strong enough to push us up the ramp until those back wheels can catch, right? So we need the front wheels, but only for about 10 feet to pull us up here. Now normally you never want to feel the bottom when you're in a boat, but when you have wheels, you know, not so bad. So now the front wheels are pulling us up, then you're going to hear the back wheels slip a little when they first make contact with the ramp. Hear them slipping? And then here we go, the Bill turns off the propeller, turns off the navigation lights. Guys, how about giving Bill a giant round of applause? Woo! Let me tell you something. None of that is easy, but Bill makes it look easy because he is awesome at this. Now let's give these skateboarders a quack. Super sass!
Quack, quack!
They love whimsy. They love whimsy. Now, if you want to come to the Lynch Family Skate Park, here are the rules. You bring any human-powered vehicle with wheels here. Skateboards, scooters, bicycles, rollerblades. I saw Lily here last week doing all these tricks with the stroller. It's kind of crazy. But I want you to take a look on your left because right between us and this little wall, as soon as you pass by this little Subaru, you'll see etched in the sidewalk images of a tortoise and a hare. The tortoise is behind the motorcycle there, and the hare's a little bit further up.
Yeah.
Now listen, if you didn't see them, don't worry about it. They're there though, okay? Now, you remember earlier we did see sculptures of a tortoise and a hare, correct? Well, Oddly enough, the images of the tortoise and the hare that are beautifully etched at the entrance of our skate park are images of those specific sculptures we saw earlier, because there is a very strange connection between these two things. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the same woman who sculpted our world famous little ducklings also sculpted the tortoise and the hare. A woman named Nancy Schoen. She's a really big deal around here. She's currently in her 90s and still working. We love her. When she was in her 80s, she'd come to town with some friends to get a look at some of her work. And when they got to Copley Square, there were kids doing skateboard tricks off of her sculptures of the tortoise and the hare. And she wasn't thrilled about this. So she decided she should confront these kids. But she is a very chill lady. So Nancy walked over there and just started talking to these skateboarders. They had a conversation. The skateboarders found out who she was. They apologized for skateboarding on her artwork. And she found out from these skateboarders that they weren't that different, right? I mean, they were all dedicated to something very difficult to do. And in their case, it was something dangerous. And there was nowhere in the city to do it. So Nancy Schoen, this 80-year-old artist, made it her mission over the next 5 years to put a skate park in the city. She found the location, she got the funding started, then the Lynch family from Fidelity paid a bunch, Vans Shoe Company paid a bunch, there was a sizable investment from the orthopedic wing at the Boston Children's Hospital. I'm joking, but you know they were psyched when they found out about the skate park. They were like, yeah, skate park, great idea. Let's get those uniforms if I'm looking at. But anyway, everyone thought they should do a little something, not only to remind people of Nancy's role in us having a skate park, but it's also a nice reminder that no matter what people think their differences may be, if they take the time to talk and listen to each other, that's when you get skate parks. And that's what this world needs. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Isn't that a great story, though? I love that story. It's very, very cute. Nancy's awesome. But you know what? I don't want to end this tour on a happy, heartwarming story, because then the rest of your day will seem sad and tragic. It's called psychology. They don't teach us at MIT. So I want to tell you guys a story of a horrible disaster that killed a bunch of people. Now, you guys know what molasses is?
Yes.
It's like really thick, sticky, sweet, syrupy stuff. Now, in 1919, in the north end of Boston, there was a company called the Purity Distilling Company that would distill molasses to make industrial alcohol, and they had a huge steel tank that could hold 2.5 million gallons of molasses. And on January 15th, 1919, this tank was full when it exploded, sending a 30-foot tidal wave of molasses crashing through the streets of the north end, destroying blocks of property and killing 21 people. 21 slowish people died in a 30-foot tidal wave of molasses in 1919. Who's heard of this before today? You have, thank you. A lot of people don't believe me when I tell the story, as if I don't look like a credible source, you know? So I always carry a book with me that was written about it. It's got a funny name, but check it out. Dark Tide, the Great Boston Molasses Flood of 1919. You can't make this up. Now listen, if you continue to take tours of the city, you will hear the story again. And I've noticed that a lot of tour guides like to make jokes about it. And I understand, it's weird, and it happened a long time ago, but still, 21 people died. And when you think about it, they were just like us, you know? So I would never sit up here and be like, that was a sticky situation. I would never do that. I would never sit here and be like, what a sweet way to go. No way. And I refuse to ever refer to it as the Boston Molassacre. That'd be tasteless. Now, lucky for you people, though, this tour is pretty much over. Now, do me a favor, take a look around yourselves, make sure you have everything you brought on board. People love to leave things on our duck, like garbage, cameras, cell phones, babies, hats. Bill was left here as a baby. Yeah, Bill was left here as a baby, and we raised him to drive the duck. That's like, we put him right to work. Speaking of Bill, how about another round of applause for Bill getting us to the city safely today? It'll make it easy for him, but he always does a great job. Now, do Bill and I a favor, stay in your seats till we can get back there and let the gangway down. I'll be at the bottom of the stairs if you have any questions whatsoever. Make sure you take a look at the photographs they took of you guys before you boarded. And I do accept gratuities for a job well done. If you don't feel comfortable using cash these days, I gave me this little Venmo card. But you guys were an excellent audience. Stay hydrated, stay cool, and whatever you do in life, do it supersized. Thank you very, very much. Have a good one.
Did you have fun, Nathan?
Yeah. I'll follow you. It's 10 clicks. I always follow you. 10 clicks. 10 clicks this way. Thank you, guys.
That was pretty awesome. Did you get good videos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna go. We're not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there. No, I don't really want to go there.
Oh, he just doesn't want to go? Okay, well, we'll figure something out. Let's just get off. Where's that at? You want to go to the Science Museum? While we're here.
We're in off. I don't know what to do. So, we went to the Alright guys, back to the video. We're in a science museum. Who knows what we're doing here?